Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to Quests and Chaos. I am Tiana Wren Hansen, my pronouns are she, Faye, and tonight I will be your game master as we embark upon this adventure into Thirsty Sword Lesbians. I'm going to introduce you to the game in just a moment, but first, let's acknowledge an important friend of the channel, Evil Hat Games. Thirsty Sword Lesbians is published and distributed by Evil Hat Games. We want to shout out their latest release, Girl by Moonlight, a game about the tragic struggles and defiant triumphs of a group of magical girls resisting an oppressive society. Girl by Moonlight explores the heartbreak of denying who you really are and the transcendent power of relationships and community. You can support their release on BackerKit by visiting the link in the info below, or by hitting !Evil Hat. Evil Hat has also been kind enough to offer a giveaway to help introduce more folk to the queer revolutionary joy of Thirsty Sword Lesbians. For every story episode, so not this one, starting next week, we will be giving away a code for $25 in Evil Hat electronic products, PDFs, so listen as you watch and we will give you instructions on how to enter. Before we jump into the core of what we're doing tonight, let me quickly talk about what inspiration is going to look like this month. For one inspiration coin, or 500 bits, the players may add a D6 to their dice pool. Now, this is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, so it is a 2d6 system. That can be immensely powerful. So, the player must declare that they are adding that d6 to the roll before they make the roll. For 2 inspiration coins, or 1,000 bits, the players may purchase a string. I'll get more into that when we're talking about some of the game mechanics. Thank you to our latest patron members, Red Yote, Ghislaine, Jeremy, and Liz. And of course to all of our patrons at this table and out there in the world, thank you. Apparently we have some inspiration coming in from our patrons, which is fantastic. I did not grab coins, because that's how we roll today.
That's totally fine. We're just so excited.
You know, that's... Inspiration is handed out in the forms of these coins, for those of you who have not done live shows with us before. We have 2 from Cheesecake Fries, 1 and 1. 1 to me, and 1 to y'all.
Ooh. Thank you, Cheesecake Fries.
Thank you.
We have 2 from Ben, aka Rooster, from the Redacted Reports. 2 for you guys.
Thank you, Ben.
And I'm just going to toss them into the middle because I refuse to try to make people catch things today. And from our own NGC 457, 2 card equivalents. I'm not sure if that's 2 bits or if that's more, but for now we're going to go with 2 and we'll look at the conversion later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So many bits. So many bits.
All of the bits. All right. Oh, and we also have some bits coming in from our wonderful viewers. So we have 500 bits from Jay Matthews. There was no designation, which means it goes to the players.
Whoa. So many bits. Y'all, we are bit rich.
Uh-huh. And 500 bits from Duke Fleek, also no designation, so that goes to y'all.
Thank you, your face.
And, all right, so I'm going to be doing a lot of talking here in a bit because I have a lot to get through. This is effectively a session 0 where I'm going to be teaching the players how to play the game because Thirsty Sword Lesbians is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, which means it's pretty easy to teach and learn. But I'm also going to be teaching you, our beautiful viewers, how to play this game. We also have a short video on the YouTube channel if you want to check that out. It's like 9 minutes long if you want to get more like focused in on stuff. But before we get into any of that, stop listening to my voice for a while. Let's meet our beautiful players. We'll start over here.
Hi, my name is I, and my pronouns are she, her. Today is my 21st birthday.
Happy birthday!
So yeah, first time to legally drink. That's for the After Dark session, maybe.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hello, I'm Cheryl. She, they.
Hi, I'm Pooja, she, they, and it's my 20th. No, I'm just kidding.
Hi, I'm Angel, she, her.
I'm Cal, they, them.
All right. So today we're going to be going through one of the most important parts of Powered by the Apocalypse games, character creation and establishing relationships between the characters. I'll be going over some of the finer points of gameplay to go into greater depth on how Thirsty Sword Lesbians is played, and we'll get to meet the characters and begin putting them into the world and get a little bit of a little bit of a taster before next week. As I mentioned before, Thirsty Sword Lesbians is a Powered by the Apocalypse game. That means that all character choices are made by the player selecting a pre-printed playbook and making choices within that playbook. We'll get deeper into those playbooks here in a minute when we actually talk about the characters that everyone's building. But first, we're going to go over two important core concepts, making a move and the stats of this game. When making a move, the Game Master, or GM, calls for a stat roll based on the situation unfolding around the player character. The player rolls 2 6-sided dice and adds them up, adding or subtracting the associated stat value. There is never a time when a player rolls and nothing happens. There are 3 possible outcomes. The upbeat. This is when the score is 10 or higher. With this excellent roll, the player is generally able to do what they set out to do without any complications, or they discover a particularly useful or positive trait or opportunity. The mixed beat. When the final score is between 7 and 9, the player is able to accomplish what they want to do, but it comes at a cost or a complication, or they discover a risky opportunity. And the downbeat. When the result is 6 or lower, I narrate something that complicates the player's life. This is not necessarily a failure. There may be an unexpected complication that pushes the character in a different direction, or maybe the approach taken wasn't the best one for the situation. This is called playing a GM move. A downbeat is also one of the ways that player characters get experience, because we learn from failure. There are 5 stats on every playbook: daring, grace, heart, wit, and spirit. Daring. This is skill at arms and forcefulness, both in terms of muscle and personality. This is most often used for combat, both of swords and words. Grace. This is elegance, poise, and agility. Whether you're swinging from a Zeppelin rope or sweeping down a grand staircase to make an entrance at the ball, grace is the stat used to tell the story. Heart. This is emotional awareness and expression. If you are trying to understand someone's deepest yearning and make an emotional connection, this is the stat for that. Wit. Sharp as a blade is the tongue of those blessed with wit. This is the stat for knowledge and cleverness when you need to persuade someone to see your way with words. And spirit. When you need to tap into more metaphysical powers. This is the stat to draw on. But this is also your sense of integrity, your force of will within the world. Some game effects give the player a +1 forward. This means that you're able to add 1 to your next applicable roll. Others give a player 1 ongoing, which is the same idea, but for the applicable rolls as long as the effect lasts. So, I have done a lot of talking so far.
Your voice is beautiful.
Great job.
Let's go ahead and talk to our wonderful players and meet the characters that they've created. So I'm going to be starting with Cal. Go ahead and introduce your character with your name and pronoun and a brief description of them.
Okay, cool. So I am playing Amanita Rubensis, and Amanita uses they, she pronouns. And they are, they are, oh my God, my brain.
It's okay.
They are definitely prone to a lot of blushing, as am I personally. They have brown, curly, messy hair. Oftentimes there's like leaves or sticks or various kinds of fungi in their hair. They tend to wear modest clothing. They cover up a lot, mostly to protect themselves from the sun. And it's a very like, she has secret pants, which I really love. The secret pants basically look like a skirt, but they're not really a skirt. They're actually pants. Lots and lots of pockets. Around their waist, they have a belt with a bunch of junk. Just like junkety junk, broken stuff. A cup that's cracked, a bunch of bottle caps. There's just, you go to a junkyard and this is like the cool shiny junk. They also have gloves and various foraging paraphernalia. Think cottagecore. I'm a cottagecore lesbian. That's basically what it is.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Angel.
So my character's name is Riza Corazon Buenaflor. She is from the coastal island of Bislin. I take a lot of inspiration from my Filipino background, and so her pronouns are she, her. Her build, she's average build, but she's got some muscle on her, so she's flexing in the right light. You're gonna see them glistening. She has tan skin, long black flowy hair, and her aesthetic is very mermaid core. It's a lot of flowy, silky white fabrics, emeralds, pearls, and gold. And the weapon she has to her side was given to who she calls her adopted grandmother. They are not related by blood, but she is the grandmother she runs to since she was a kid, who she learned how to become one of like the masters of swordsmanship in the country of like Bislin. She also really loves to cook. So she loves to cook, she loves fashion, and if you ever need an outfit change, you need makeup, anything, she probably has it.
Makeover.
Makeover.
Oh my god.
3 episodes, guys.
Over.
Pooja, over to you. And I do just want to highlight, if y'all can see like the gorgeous art that's along the bottoms of these, Pooja did all of the artwork for this show. So thank you so much.
It was so fun. Everybody has the best concepts. Secret pants.
Thanks for the secret pants.
Of course, anytime. So I am playing Miss Filimena Lowe. She uses she, they. She's built like a brick house. She's 6'2" before she puts on her stiletto heels, which they wear at all times. Just like very put together, sort of well-fitted clothes, but like not modest, immodest.
Yes.
A fitted waist-high gray slacks, an open white silk blouse, sort of a blazer, tattoos, full sleeve tattoos, like very done up makeup, and auburn hair that's sort of got that like kind of 50s, 60s rolls vibe, and green eyes, and a face scar going up like this, straight line. You'll see.
We shall see. Cheryl, over to you.
Yeah. Cove uses they, them pronouns.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid. Yeah. I think it's the biblically accurate angel core, I think is what it
Yes.
Cove is I think the description I used was long. Very imposing figure, kind of floating above the ground all the time. Picture like a magical girl or the doctor going through a transformation into their next phase. And Cove started that transformation and then stepped out of it in the middle of it. So there are elements that are half transformed, that haven't fully reconnected. Yeah.
Oh. I can see the transformation happening.
It's quick rigged. It's not.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've had that happen on the show.
Yeah. Probably an extra eyeball somewhere. Who knows?
At least one.
Somewhere.
Over to you.
Hi, okay, I will be playing Amber Rose Lynn. Her pronouns are she, her. Her whole aesthetic is very much gothy witchy vibes, very occult-like. Amber Rose has this sort of split dye job that's very Cruella de Vil-esque, but I want to say a little bit cuter and more modern with little waves. Her whole thing is just, I gotta look hot, I gotta look imposing, because I'm not actually imposing once you actually get to talk to me. She'll look at you and be super piercing, but if you can get past that 100-yard stare she does, she crumbles. There's nothing there. I got no backbone.
Oh, sweet girl. All right, thank you all so much. The next mechanic we're going to dive into is strings, and this is where we're going to talk a little bit about how bits and inspirations will be used this month. Strings are the mechanical manifestation of emotional influence one person has over another. This could be a current or previous lover, but it could also be the deep friendship shared between two people or blackmail material that you have on someone. Whatever the source of the string, this mechanic is used to add extra oomph to some of the basic moves, like emotional support or figure out a person, or for its own move, influence with a string. Influence with a string is basically burning emotional goodwill, burning a favor, to get someone else to do what you want them to do. If a character has a string on another character, they can spend that string to influence them in several ways. A PC can offer a fellow PC experience to do something. The string isn't spent if they refuse the temptation. Or the character can spend the string to find out what it would take for the person they're trying to influence to do what the character wants. They can add +1 to a roll against the person after rolling, or they can add or subtract 1 from the roll of the other person after that person rolls. I also have strings, which are generic and are equal to the number of players. Those each have to be used each session or they go away. They don't stack. This month, the players can choose to spend 2 inspiration bits to buy a string, which can be bought on PCs with consent after talking to that other player or my NPCs. So we're going to jump into some scene work here shortly to begin establishing relationships and the strings that come with those. But first, we're going to go over some safety tools. The players and I work together to create a palette. It is very low tech and I don't care.
All you need sometimes.
They've told me what themes they're excited about, as well as what their lines and veils are. This game would be rated a low PG-13. Racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia are absolutely not welcome here. And most of the violence that'll take place will be of the Errol Flynn swashbuckling variety. There may be some sexual content. These are thirsty sword lesbians, after all. But any scene that could become explicit will go into a tasteful fade to black. We ain't that kind of show. The next safety tool is the check-in card, which is a card that'll live in the center of the table. It's an ongoing reminder to everyone to check in with each other if things start getting uncomfortable. It's a reminder to me to make eye contact with each of the players, and each of you can check on each other as well. The check-ins don't have to be obtrusive. It can be as simple as making eye contact and flashing a thumbs up to ask if the other person is okay. Finally, and most importantly, the X card. Every player has one behind their screen, as do I. If this card is ever played, we stop the scene immediately. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about this. The scene stops, we figure out what the problem is, and we do whatever is necessary to alleviate the problem. I believe in deep emotions in TTRPGs, and that comes with a lot of vulnerability. The players need to feel safe to feel that deeply, and frankly, so do I as the GM. All right, now that we've gotten the serious stuff out of the way, let's get into some scene work.
Yeah.
So I have a list of questions. There are 3 for each of the playbooks. I'll go around the table and ask each player 1 question at a time. They'll make their choices, check in with the other player involved with that choice, and decide on the circumstance of that scene. They can play out as much or as little as they like. This is the first time the players have gotten these characters up on their feet. So this is the time to dig deep into who they are. Make big choices, my friends. Our time is short, and we have some very juicy sword fights to get into. Juicy! All right, so, let's see. I have them in alphabetical order, which is an interesting choice because you're not sitting alphabetically.
Popcorn it.
Yeah.
Everybody get in a different order.
Nope, because I will get murdered by the person who made the overlays, and I'd like to not do that tonight. So we're gonna start with the infamous.
Oh.
Which is our own Pooja. I lost
Pooja.
your name for a second there. I was between Filimena and Pooja, and my brain just lost.
Pick one. Pick a lane. Pooja.
I will not. So I'm going to start off with a hard one.
Oh, God.
Who at this table have you wronged the most? And do they know it was you?
Oh my god.
Okay, so I have a couple thoughts about this.
Yes.
So, based off of our previous conversation, you mentioned that your family has like a business.
Yeah.
They're
Fishermen.
fishermen, yeah. So, not to get too much into Filemena's stuff, they've done some bad stuff, but a lot of that was like breaking up small businesses or like
Right.
busting unions, that sort of thing. So it's a potential is that Filimena had something to do with like squashing your family's business at some point, or like preventing them from expanding, or something like that, which I'm open to. Thoughts about that? Yes. And then my other thought was like your family are nomadic,
Yeah.
and are afraid of outsiders, right? So there's probably a reason they're afraid of outsiders. Maybe there's scary freelance organizations that have been cruel to them at some point. So those were my 2 thoughts. And because I want to get juicy, I think either way, you don't know that I did it.
Ooh.
Yes. So
Okay.
I'm leaning towards you because business makes sense with my backstory stuff. But how do you feel about that?
No, I'm 100% for it, just because it kind of plays into Riza's backstory in the sense that her family, like, they come from like very poor background, and so it's kind of like pulling up from your bootstraps. And so I take it a lot from like growing up like with immigrant parents, where it's like it almost seems like money's what makes the world go round. And so in that case, it's made hardships on her and her family, because now she has to step in as taking care of the younger siblings, and also wanting the family being like, oh, you should take over the family business. And she's like, I want to be free, and I don't think life is all about money.
Yeah.
And so I could see how that could be playing in with like the union busting and everything.
Yeah.
She's very free spirited and will not let her spirit be crushed.
Yeah.
Even though it's slightly crushed already.
Yeah, okay, well, then I have my answer.
But she doesn't know.
But you don't know, yeah.
Oh man.
I haven't
Okay.
been able to tell you yet.
Oh. All right. And you may assign 1, 2, or 0 strings to that relationship at your discretion, because you are the one assigning the relationship. And you can think about that, where we don't have to answer that straight away, because you are the first person, so you do have kind of that burden.
Yeah. Okay, I'll think about it.
All right. Before we dive into other things, I saw some other bits come in, so I'm just going to go ahead and call those
We are
out.
so with it. We're like Scrooge McDucking in.
Can we get like a kiddie pool over there that we'll jump in?
You're going to be a little bit
piggy
disappointed,
bank.
because
Are they for you?
the next one is from Jay Matthews, and I do know how you roll, Jay Matthews. They are for me.
Oh.
Jay Matthews
I see you,
always
Jay
gives
Matthews.
them to the GM.
It's very kind. It's very
Well,
kind.
you know, somebody has to.
You know, it's true. Someone has to, yeah.
Balance.
And then Jay Matthews also donated $470 for one other person to fill out their inspiration to finish out the 100.
Oh, thanks.
So that is to finish out the 500. So this is for you guys, because it was not designated.
Thank you.
Ha-ha. All right. So, got that sorted out, I think. If there's anything else, I have the in-game bits and super chats left for my producer to handle that. But we're going to go into the next one, which is to the Legion.
Hello.
Hello. Who at this table has the face of a long-dead friend?
Oh.
I think it's Amanita.
Okay.
Yeah?
I think it's Amanita. I think many eons ago, they had as close of a friend as they could have, and while not a mushroom person, still a kind face and demeanor, and very special.
Yeah.
So what was that like the first time that you met Amanita?
Yeah, definitely a little short-circuiting. A lot of like rapid blinking.
Is there something on my face?
No, it's just your face,
My face is
It's-
on my face?
where it should be probably. Hello, I'm Cove.
Hi. Hi. I'm Amanita Ravensis. Nice to meet you.
You as well, not Isabella.
Okay. Who's that?
Very dear friend, who
Oh.
you remind me strongly of.
Oh. Okay. That's nice. Good. Yes? Good. Okay. Good.
Dude, none of us are breathing right now.
You know, when I said get juicy, I didn't mean it.
Oh, too late to take it back now.
I think it's one.
It's one string?
One.
All right.
Okay.
And
Does it go both ways?
No, it goes from Cove to Amanita.
Okay.
Wait, so Cove has a string
I have
on
a string on
I have
you.
or I have a string on Cove.
Cove has a string on you.
Okay.
A question on the string. So, Cove gave a string to Amanita. Therefore, if Cove makes a persuasion to Amanita, then Amanita is more likely to do the action.
So if you have a string on the person, you can spend that to add a +3 to your roll on certain checks. And that is essentially burning the goodwill in that sense, where you're using that close connection that you have to someone to make the roll more likely, or you can spend a string to try to persuade that person what you want them to do.
Oh, okay, got it.
I definitely thought it was the other way because
Let's check the book, because I have the book here, and I want to make sure that I'm not screwing this up, because peek behind the curtain. I've never run this system before.
We're learning together.
We are learning.
With you.
because I think when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about like Amanita there's no emotional currency there for Amanita, but I mean the emotional currency is that like Cove.
It's on my end.
It's
Right.
Cove
That makes
would
sense.
be influenced by me having the face of somebody.
I see.
And then, even though Riza doesn't know that Filimena sabotaged
family.
the business, she still has that, like, Filimena.
Influence,
There's, like, a
yeah.
power differential there, which is
Yeah.
what strings represent.
That makes sense.
Right, because you would be guilted if she were to ask you something, but not the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't know.
You are correct. I apologize.
That's
Take
okay.
it.
At the end, give each other character 0, 1, or 2 strings on you. A string means they have emotional influence over you. My apologies. I got that backwards.
That's okay.
So you are absolutely correct. You have a string on Cove, and Riza has a string on Filimena.
And you have 2, I decided.
Ooh.
Very nice, very
Okay.
nice.
Like it.
And you can also wait until we've gone through all of the questions to weight that appropriately for yourself.
Okay.
Clarification question.
Absolutely.
Is this like we have a 1 string, a 2 string, and a 3 string, or we could be like everybody gets 3?
It's a 0 string, a 1 string, and a 2 string, and you assign those
Oh, so
appropriately.
2's most.
Yes, 2's the most that you can give.
I won't take it back.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, because we have 3 questions.
Yep. All right. Nature Witch.
Yeah.
Who at this table sees your potential?
Okay, I definitely have an answer to this. I think it's Filimena.
Ooh.
And I think because Filimena has been with the Violettes for so long, that like, and I definitely feel like Amanita is new or brand new, and I think there's like there's a natural tension in Filimena seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, very strong forward decision making. I'm imagining you have a lot in daring.
You would not be wrong in that.
So I've got a -1 in daring.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of like there's potential there. I almost think like there was a day where something happened, and Amanita doesn't get mad very frequently. But I'm almost imagining like something happened with the natural world around her, and she got really angry. And there was that potential.
I love that. Yeah, because it's like I might have like for a while been like, you know, she's a sweet kid, but I don't know. And then I saw like that spark. I was like, there's some fire beneath all that leaves and trash.
I live in leaves and trash.
So what happened that day? What happened the day that you saw something happen to nature?
Okay. I live in the junkyard now instead of going back to my family. And I was growing a crop of oyster mushrooms outside in my like little hollow. And someone came along and just smashed it and like tore it up. All the substrate is gone. And just ruined it. poured like chemicals all over it and like purposefully destroyed the living things. Yeah. It was not fun.
No, I can't imagine.
And how did I find out about it? Like, when did I see you get mad?
Were you there that day?
What do you think?
So this is where you live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is in the city, probably near where we all meet at the cafe.
Would you say, would Filimena give you fighting lessons, maybe?
Oh, yeah! Definitely.
So I think I was probably coming in to do our, like, weekly meetup. Yeah, where I'm giving you some pointers, and then I see, how upset you are. And maybe you, like if we're doing, like, hand-to-hand, you, like, do a takedown, and I'm like, where did that come from?
I don't know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That was incredible. That's I mean, is everything...
It feels weird inside. It feels really weird.
You're gonna use your words more. I'm having trouble following.
You know how sometimes you eat you eat a bad mushroom and like you probably shouldn't have eaten it, but it was like maybe slightly off, and then you feel like in your intestines gets a little like a burning sort of feeling. It's like that, but like more and like all over.
Are you angry?
Oh. Maybe? Is that what that feels like?
That is, I mean,
like
the whole
in-
mushroom thing I didn't follow exactly, but the sort of heat and the sort of overwhelming nature of it, and then how it sort of bubbles up, and you're like,
Yeah.
and you just want to,
Your face gets really hot
yeah.
and you kind of want to yell.
Well, use it.
Okay. Like that? Like what I just said?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's do that one more time.
Okay.
Lovely. Lovely friends. All right. Scoundrel. Who at this table were you smitten with until recently?
So I was really nervous about this because I had written this and I was like, NPC. I was like, I'm so prepared. Wow. So then I was sitting here like thinking. So I'm in between because I know the next question as well. So I'm in between because they could go like vice versa.
Sure.
Can I?
Please. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Together.
So I'm thinking, Riza, she likes all flavors. She likes everyone. There's something that like clicks for her for like each person. I'm not sure for I think I'm leaning towards who you're smitten with until recently. Like would probably be Filimena when she first joined like the group. She's probably like, oh, that's the biggest and strongest one here. Like, I am here for this. It's the southern accent, it's the big muscles, and she's kind of like very flouncy, and she's like, I want the biggest one there is. You know?
Size queen.
Yeah.
Isn't Riza short?
She's like 5'9". She's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Short.
She's short for this
Not
group.
short, yeah.
Everyone decided.
Wait, how? Wait, how?
Oh, no, I'm 5'6".
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
I'm the shortest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the shortest. I'm 5'5".
Oh, never mind.
Sure.
It's just
Yeah,
gorgeous.
Cove. Yeah.
Nice.
Corner.
I love it.
Yeah.
Y'all taller than me in real life, so.
Yeah, I definitely purposely made her taller than me because I was like, I want to know what it's like.
Yeah.
5'9". 5'9". But yeah, I think it probably started out kind of. It's a lot of her crushes tend to be like people she's smitten with are very surface level. It's kind of like what strikes her first. Usually it's like looks and then personality comes after. So if you gave her, like if it was a meme, it's like, boobs, butt, personality, she would almost check, and then she's like boobs and butt. But yeah, I think definitely like close proximity, just being like fighting styles, and also she's also very communicative. So like So when it comes to business, she's down for business.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, why did you stop being smitten with them?
Or does it have to do with the following question? Did someone replace or did you fall out of? Because those are two different things.
That's fair.
So she's definitely a lover. She is a fighter, so she's a lover and a fighter. Since I got this. Amber Rose joined the group. She also loves her shy type, so she can't help it. She loves like seeing people blush and tease and flirt, and she's like, "Oh, everything's working on this one. This is amazing."
This is gonna go so well for one of my questions,
right? She's having a great time, and it's not like she's like let go of like Filimena. Like she's like, "Oh, muscles, yes," But it's also like her charm works. If that's something you believe that Amber would be.
Well, and here's a funny thing about one of the basic moves. One of the basic moves is called Entice. You don't have to mean to do it in order for Entice to work for you. Sometimes that cute, awkward, nerdy thing, it works. It works for some people. It's cool.
We can
If
only
I hear the word whiz in the chat one more time. No, I'm kidding. So what was it like when you first met Filimena?
First met, probably the first order of business. maybe we could maybe their first meeting is like first after business talk and stuff when their group is banding. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is a little after. She's kind of okay, rolling up. Well, she's not doing that. She's kind of swaying a little bit. She's like, oh, so Filimena, is it?
Yeah, that Filimena low. It's a pleasure.
Filimena low, get low.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes.
Hey, so I know we just met and all, but I'm new to this island here, and I heard there was a club party going on Friday. Thought you might want to go. So that's a yes. Maybe. Depends on what's there.
You talk a lot. I'll go.
Well, then I'll see you at 8.
All right.
Here's my business card, and as we were talking about, she pulls it out of her her
Oh, is that where you keep yours? Me too.
Ain't that funny?
Wow, it's the perfect place.
Keep it right close to my chest, right in my heart. I'll see you then.
I'll see you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
The titty bonding.
You do. The titty pocket.
What's that?
Before we dive into the next question, we have some bits that came in. First of all, there's a missing patron bit, one from Squeal the Bard to me. Ooh. It's almost like they want me to be able to influence y'all.
Wow.
What? Can't imagine. And then 1,000 bits from Red Yote to me for juiciness and mayhem.
Yeah!
Juicy! We're gonna get juicy. I am
juicy.
very here for this. Legitimately, one of the big things on the palette.
Juicy.
You can't really read it from here, but
all
in
capital letters.
Yes. It's kind of important in this environment. So I haven't been asking, but I will ask. Amanita, how many strings are you assigning to that?
One string for Filimena.
So Filimena, you have one string on Amanita, and then Riza, how many strings are you giving Filimena on you? Boy, you're holding all the strings, Filimena.
Yeah,
I'm over here.
I think it's one. It's very superficial, but it's a little. There's a little bit something there.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right. And everyone else has their strings established from their previous questions, just to make sure. Excellent. Last but certainly not least, our spooky witch. Spooky. Who at this table doesn't think you're all that weird?
I went back and forth on this, but I think I finally determined that I'll use the other person for a different question.
Okay.
But I was flip-flopping between Amanita and Cove, but I'm gonna go with Amanita because, one awkward, shy nerd and another awkward, shy nerd, the witches are...
Yeah.
There's a reason we put the witches on opposite sides of the table.
They'd be too powerful otherwise.
Very much
Can't put the
so.
witches next to each other.
The witch-to-witch communication.
Yes.
It's like, what's that? You talk to shadows and I talk to fungus.
I mean, they're basically
One of
the
the-
same thing, right?
Maybe?
I mean, like you can see them, but you can't really see them.
I
You
can
know?
see them, but others can't see them.
Right. And like, you can hear them, right?
Sometimes they whisper and they say things, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're not very nice things.
Oh. Yeah, same.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Sometimes they scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to write about this in... I pull out this tiny little journal that has it's like a yearbook almost, but it only has my brother's signature on it. Would you like to sign my...
Is this your spooky journal?
It's my spooky journal.
Okay, but what do you want me to write?
Whatever you want to write.
Like about the fungi?
I would love to learn about the fungi.
Okay, sure. I'll start drawing different diagrams, and there's little arrows pointing to which bits of the fungi, and don't eat this one because you'll probably get diarrhea. And this one's good, but it could use a little bit more flavor. Yeah.
We meet weekly now, and I'll tell you about which corners to avoid if there's too much shadow there.
Yes.
There's a weird amount of shadow there.
Okay, so what's a weird amount of shadow?
So if the shadow is kind of half bright and then half dark,
Okay.
and then it's kind of jagged, if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, like that one?
Like that one.
Okay, what about that one?
That one's fine.
Okay.
It'll probably try to eat me in my sleep, but that's a me problem.
Oh. How do you stop them from eating you in your sleep?
Protective charms, and you've asked the nicer ones to how do you not eat poisonous mushrooms?
Oh, well, we have this really big book, and it has a lot of information in it, and a lot of it's wrong now because, the planet's dead. But, we wrote a lot of notes and stuff, and it tells you which ones to eat and which ones not to eat, and you have to pay attention to the spores and the color, and a lot of them look alike, so you have to really hone in on the differences. Yeah.
It's like two neurodivergents connected.
I actually have a move in my playbook called I Ship It. I didn't take it yet, but I'm excited to.
It's gorgeous. Do you know how many strings you would like to give Amanita on you? You also don't have to answer that just yet. I'm making notes about who each person is.
I'm gonna sit on that for a little bit.
All right. So then, we're going to bounce back to the top to our infamous. Who in this group believes in you more than you believe in yourself? Yeah.
Could be any one of you. You're all so sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, so I feel like, yeah, it could go in so many directions. I mean,
Tell us what you're thinking.
Okay.
Just talk
I'll talk out loud.
Yeah.
Talk out loud.
As a friend of mine says, think with your mouth open.
So, I think not you. And you already have a string on me, so never mind. So I was thinking Cove for like weird seeing beyond reasons. Just like
doing great.
yeah, you're like, well, I don't know.
You can't fuck up any more than your ancestors.
Right. You like know more. And then I think either which because I think the other direction I was thinking is Amber Rose because you have this like sort of second sight and I don't think that Filemena's in touch with this, but like a lot of their more like magic powers comes from like sort of a dark place.
Right.
So you might like see that as a good thing, whereas Filimena sees it as like a flaw.
Right.
Yes. Now that I'm talking out loud, this feels juicy. So
Juicy.
Juicy.
Make the juicy choices.
Yeah. So there's sort of this like inky shame, guilt that a lot of her power comes from. And you might be able to see that better than other people and might not view it as like a negative thing. But, feel free to chime in.
So how would you see this, like the first time I kind of noticed your powers? Like how would this kind of go?
I mean, I think Filemena's really specific about when she like lets loose because they see this as like a big character flaw is like in the past,
Right.
hurting people.
Right.
So it would probably have to be a pretty dire situation where we were in like actual danger and maybe I don't know, protected us and Filimena might not have been able to see this themselves, but like saw like, this sort of presence that is like a physical manifestation of their like sort of the fear, that they put into other people.
Right.
This like, this sort of dark energy.
Right. Okay, so we're in like a dangerous situation and you've just like, I don't know, blasted the big bad or whatever it is, and now you're like, oh, I'm a monster.
Yeah, I think it's after.
Right.
And I'm probably like going to check up on you. Are you okay?
I'm fine. Just a couple of bruises here and there, but I'll be okay.
Sure. I'm so sorry you had to see that. I don't like to do. I hope you don't think any less of me. It's just sometimes I get carried away, and I'm so sorry.
Why would I think less of you?
Well, I mean,
Is using magic wrong if you're protecting others?
well, I guess. Yeah, that's a interesting point. Intentions matter, and you're worth protecting. So it makes sense that I would.
Power is a tool, just like how weapons are tools, and it is the wielder with the intention that creates bad or good magic, regardless of how dark or light it is.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ponder that, but
You're a good person.
agree to disagree. I know we haven't introduced conditions yet, but I feel like I should pick one.
Would that be insecure or?
What is my list?
Angry, frightened, guilty, hopeless, or insecure.
Oh, guilty is so easy. Yeah, guilty for sure.
I feel like guilty is gonna be the first condition you take in like any situation.
You breathe an instant guilt, like.
Excellent. Well done.
Oh, wow. That was awesome.
Oh my god. What?
Spit take.
Went down the wrong pipe.
Oh no! Oh, that's a mood.
It's okay.
You good?
I'm okay.
All right.
And I'll give you 1 string for that. Almost joking.
All right. Cove,
What's up?
who was the beloved of a nemesis from a previous life?
Hot seat.
I think it's Amber Rose.
All right.
And I don't think that I think that this iteration of Cove does not necessarily deem that the beloved of my nemesis is not necessarily also my nemesis.
Sure.
But there are definitely some residual feelings around that situation and what it represents.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a nemesis from a past life?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
3 lives ago.
3 lives.
3 lives ago. 3 lives ago.
Excellent.
This plays in really well to what I think a different question that I'm going to be asked later. So, can I ask more about this? Do you have like a person for this nemesis, or do we want to work together on who this nemesis is?
I'm absolutely down to work together on who it is.
Okay, because currently, my whole motivation is to find this mysterious missing brother of mine, who I love dearly, beyond anybody, and so I'm sure the feelings are mutual, and I'm kind of a splitting image of this person.
Mm-hmm.
So not only am I beloved of your nemesis, but I also look a lot like your nemesis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's so good. Do you know what your brother is up to?
I just know that he dabbled in some dark art and then just disappeared one day.
That tracks.
And now I'm going down the same path to look for him.
Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't do that.
How about we stop?
We don't. Yeah. I think so, and I think that part of what comes with that too, then, is Cove is very much on that train of like, hey, what are you doing over there? Can you do you want to take a break from that and get some coffee or anything but that?
Right. It's probably like just like, no, gotta study. My hands are like jittering.
Too much coffee.
Too much coffee. Okay, maybe not coffee.
Chamomile, I've heard it's good.
Slip some NyQuil in there.
Benadryl in the corner. All right.
You want some reishi mushrooms?
Oh, here we go.
It's all over your face. Be careful, it's hot and it's like scalding.
What's that?
Excellent. Do you know how many?
3. Take them.
2 is the highest end that you
Oh, I
can
think you
get.
said 3.
It's 2, 1, and 0.
2, 1, and 0.
Yeah.
0 strings me.
Oh.
That you have they have the connection to someone, but it's not necessarily
To them.
deep enough to have like a string. Honestly, I think that's kind of rubbish. So if we get to the end of it and we all look at it and it's like, no, all of these need at least 1 string, then I'll be like, it can be 1, 1, and 2.
Cool.
Because honestly, that's kind of where things are going with this. With this wonderful deep dive from my wonderful players. Thank you. All right. Up next, before we dive into any further, welcome to our raiders. We had a raid from Questline D&D. Welcome. We're not playing D&D, but stick around because this is a new system to the channel and a new system to our players. And frankly, kind of a new system to me. So we all get to learn cool stuff and play out queer drama in the month of June, which we are all about here.
Happy Pride!
Happy Pride! All right, continuing on down, Nature Witch. Who thinks you're perfect the way you are?
Oh.
My heart.
I think this is such a good question because the whole thing about the Nature Witch is that they are learning to socialize as their new self, like the self that they're stepping into. So I think that Amanita feels like there's a lot that she doesn't know and a lot that she needs to learn in order to function properly in society that is not her family. I'm comfortable opening this up. I didn't have any strong ideas for the last two questions. So does anybody feel like they want to hop on that train? I mean, the only thing that I would say is like for the last question, it's about going on a date, and I feel like you would work for that question. So maybe not necessarily Riza, but anybody else feel like
love
they wanna...
Dates are wonderful.
They're great.
So the question is, who thinks that they are perfect the way that they are?
I think opening it up as the like face of a long dead friend appreciation, like that end of things, very much like absolutely you are terrific. Keep doing what you're doing.
Love that.
Now, was that a shift? Do you, if it is you, do you think that was a shift for Cove going from this is the face of Isabella to this is Amanita?
I think so. I think it took little time, right? Cove was like, and poor Amanita, Cove was probably just like hovering close by for way too long. Yeah. But maybe less imposing over time as we go, okay, you actually are your own person and not Isabella. And I think there's appreciation in watching that growth and seeing your trajectory and how you are navigating the world in new ways or ways that are new to you.
Yeah. So does Cove out of time and can see all things?
We can't see the future, but we have many pasts
Okay.
and have experienced many lives.
The analogy of the
We
doctor
are
is actually a really
legion.
good one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I like that.
That's very precious.
What was that moment like when you crossed over from this is a duplicate of Isabella to this is somebody who is their own person and I see them becoming their own person?
I think it was a really like simple moment, right? I think it was like you sitting with like your little tabletop garden that you have at the cafe, and like, you know, digging through and planting and caring for each of these things that you are, you know, and just that moment of recognition that you're making your own way, even if it's in this tiny bucket, like still pushing back on the like industrialization and right in your own way. I think that, yeah, tiny moment, but big moment.
Cool. I like that.
I like that a lot. All right. Moving on to the Scoundrel. Who has replaced Filimena in your desire?
Not fully replaced. She has
Who do I
many
mean?
places. Many places in her heart.
I mean, they
no.
do still have a string on you,
Right.
so there is still that emotional connection.
For I guess replacing them in her current desire, it would definitely be Amber Rose. And I think in the sense that because as she's gotten to know the group more and more, she's very much like a joker, like a teaser. So if she can like push at people's buttons and see like a fun reaction out of them, into it. So I'm just thinking maybe like one scene is maybe they're all out doing some community service. Maybe they're gardening or something together for team bonding.
Right.
And Amber Rose maybe is like really focused. I'm not sure what she'd be focusing in. Mm-hmm. And then Riza comes up and is like, "Are you Treasure?"
I'm sorry.
Are you Treasure?
What is?
Huh? And I assume she's like, okay, trying again. And then she gets down lower and she's like, so what you working on here?
Oh, it's actually very fascinating. So Amanita was actually giving me this textbook, and I just go on and on about mushrooms.
And then you can see her just nodding happily. She's like, this is great. She's not really listening. She's just staring at her at this point. She's like, yeah.
Right, which is so amazing. And it's like, anyway, so like, would you like a pop quiz on this afterwards?
And she goes, oh, I'm so sorry. And give me one moment. And she turns around and like, I don't know if she's facing anyone at this point in the garden, but you can just see her like, and then turns around and is like, sure, I love pop quizzes, anything.
Amazing. And so I tear like a page out of my spooky notebook and I start like writing things out. And I was like, oh yeah, Amanita was saying this and this and this. And you're just hearing Amanita this, Amanita that.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, and she's like, oh, Amanita. Yeah, she's great, isn't with her hands and mushrooms?
Yeah.
You guys close friends?
I'd like to
Very
be.
close?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, that's nice to hear. How have the shadows been?
The shadow, you're interested in the shadows?
Absolutely.
And so, like, I sit her down, and there's no pop quiz now. It's just somber.
She's like, oh my god.
Really sweating on that pop quiz. You're like,
She's glistening in the sun. She's dabbing herself with her handkerchief. Like,
Yeah, and so then I start like going all through like my diagrams and pentagrams or whatever it is I use to like all that stuff, and then it's like, so this is how you protect yourself and so on and so forth. And then by the end of it, like I close the book and I'm like, thank you for listening to me. Not a lot of people do.
it was very fascinating. Mm-hmm. We should talk again sometime.
Please.
I'm really not gonna get nervous. I forget I'm Riza. I'm like, oh god.
Oh god, she's staring at me with those eyes.
The queer panic around this table is strong.
Well, you know where to find me. Mm-hmm. I'll be over here. And then she turns around again. She's like, what do I remember? She's like running through her head like the notes. She's like trying to take mental notes because she's never been as a front with having to be popped quiz on people. She's usually pretty witty, but she's like, this is like information overload.
I think it'd be kind of funny if you like run off and then you look back and I'm still staring straight at you.
Yeah, she's just like trying to keep it cool, and then she's like,
Oh, wonderful. We are currently at 8 o'clock, and I think this is going to be a shorter session than usual. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick break before we go deeper into character scenes. We will be back shortly. I need to refresh my water because it's getting warm in here. I may actually start keeping a fan in here, not for the aesthetic, but for
Hands. Oh my god.
Also for the aesthetic.
I mean, the snap they make when they open.
all of it.
It's true. Both is good. So we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes, folks. Stay seated. We are gonna dive into some more scenes and then a little introduction into the world. Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to Quests and Chaos. We are continuing our session 0 for Thirsty Sword Lesbians. We all had to refresh our drinks because we were all quite thirsty queers over here. So we're going to jump right back into our scene work here with our lovely characters. Let me pull this right back up. We didn't quite finish the round, so I'm going to run over here to our spooky witch.
Hi.
Who has the unseen warned you about?
Cove.
Oh, that was quick.
You knew.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. What did they tell you?
See, the unseen are I think they're a separate category than whatever Cove is, and
True.
it's just what is unknown to the unknown freaks the unknown out.
Sure.
And so there's weird dynamics at play, and I feel like the unknown knows that whatever the legions are, they're probably one of the few things on this planet that can probably threaten them. So
Okay.
I don't know if they're doing that as like, yo, you keep away from Cove because Cove's got like weird things going on or knows you from a past or something like that. Either that or maybe they're looking out for themselves.
It could be any of them.
Could be any of them.
What have they told you? What do they whisper in your ear about
Say-
Cove?
That one's not what they seem. They say things like they know things that you don't know and they're willing to use that against you. That one has information about your brother, but they will lie to you about it.
Oh. So how does that impact how you behave around Cove?
It makes me very stunted in the way that I interact. I'm very stunted when I interact with everybody, but like that sort of shy, sort of like, energy comes out after you get to know me after a while, but it's very clear that that sort of spooky barrier still stays up around Cove.
Okay. Interesting.
Here's a tea. New connotation. Just like, could be anything. You trust me.
I feel like Cove just walks around with chamomile.
Floats
around.
I think you need this today. Just teabag in the middle of what you're working on.
Ultimate
Oh my
like
God.
mom friend, and I'm over here is like, they're giving me drugs.
Which
Why does this make me feel so calm?
When I find Amanita's stash, maybe.
We've all been looking.
What sash are you talking about?
Don't worry about it.
No problems there. Okay. Interesting. All right, so we'll roll back into the infamous. Your last. It's the last one, though.
I know, I was just kidding.
Who talks to you about things they wouldn't discuss with others because of your past?
I'm going to say Cove for this one. I think it totally up to you, but I feel like maybe there might be more uncertainty than you express with people, and since you have sort of this like other knowledge, you might recognize that like I have zero judgment about like darker thoughts. You don't have to like be this like great being because like I'm never gonna judge you more than I judge myself. So
I think that ties really well into my next question.
I think so.
also,
I think so.
Which is who first saw me draw my weapon from my body. And I think partly because we're probably the two who have been with the organization the longest, but also because we have had probably some of these conversations and we've been in battle together and everything. I think absolutely that moment of vulnerability in drawing forth that sword plays into like, okay, yeah, there's trust and understanding that maybe maybe the littles don't get.
right, yeah, like you know,
Oh, it's mom and mom.
The shorts?
Just the babs.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't a height thing.
Sorry.
Sounds like a hype thing to me.
I like this idea that Riza just has an ear out for anytime she's called short.
Is that her trigger word for going just ham on someone?
Oh, definitely. I think she like plays a mask, but she gets very jealous and envious pretty easily. So like, yeah, the short thing is like very sensitive. Her elder brother's taller than her, so she's like constantly done the hand push on the head. And she's like, no, I'm very tall for someone in my country, so.
Must be this tall to join the big girl meeting.
She'll have tapes a sign on the table.
Riza would pass it by and be like, very funny. And then when they're not looking, she's just like, like a cat, like an angry cat or
Are
something.
you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay, so there's this thing that people do that when they say that they're fine and then their body does something different, then they're not fine, right?
Were you here the whole time?
I'm everywhere.
Wonderful.
It really is. Okay, I'll go. Sorry.
No, wait. Pretend you never saw that?
For how long?
Long enough
Right
and
now?
yeah.
I didn't see it. Like that?
Yeah, that's perfect. You're really good at that.
Okay, and when do I stop?
Never. Please. It's for me.
Oh, okay.
Shake on it. Here. So hold out your hand like if I may I?
Yeah.
Turn it like this.
Okay.
Slip right here. And then
Okay.
shake.
Oh.
Shake. Say it with me. Shake.
Shake.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's a deal. This never happened.
It didn't happen.
Riza's gonna try to like scurry away. He's like, oh my god, and she's like stuffing the paper in her. She's wearing a skirt, her bra, her corset, right? And
Next to the business card.
no, she has like a file folder.
Filing system.
Filing A, B, C, D, because she has all the lovers,
bigger on the
right?
inside.
Yeah.
So it's bigger on one side.
Bigger on the inside.
Oh, it's bigger on one
That
side than
too.
the other.
Left side's always.
This one's for business. This one's for personal use.
These like filing cabinets.
Oh my god.
Well,
At least she's organized.
I mean, you have to be when you might run into an ex-lover anywhere.
Right,
And your name
John and Black Mayor with an E.
Oh.
so.
So returning. Sorry.
I know, it was so good. It was
Wait,
so good.
quick question about Cove. Can they only see what happens in front of them, or do they like see everything?
Mom has eyes in the back of her
No.
of their head.
We don't know where that extra eyeball is.
It could be anywhere.
Blonder.
It could be in your filing cabinet.
It's like, what is this?
It's like Thing from like.
From the Addams Family.
The eyeball just.
I wasn't
We all
expecting
see
it to be a
eye.
detached entity, but it's like rolling around.
But if you let everyone think that it's, around somewhere.
Oh my god.
Also keep like some fake ones around just to throw people around.
No.
Like this is a game, I understand.
I
that's
definitely
cute.
take doll's eyes in the junkyard and I give them to you.
Oh my god.
Like,
And you
hi,
guys play a
guys.
prank.
I found 10.
10 is beautiful. Would you like to keep any?
Oh no, I've got tons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great. Like
yeah.
sorting them for
The
like
chaga
okay,
really like the eyeballs.
this one's for pranking Riza. This one.
She like that spoon drops in the ground. She's like, oh, that's. Oh no. Something's happening. I just don't know what.
Wait, Wait, is that a thing?
Yeah, so like Filipino, so like if a spoon drops, that means like a woman's gonna appear in the house. Not like a spirit, it's just like maybe a visitor or something. If it's a fork, I think it's a man. If it's a knife, undecided. Someone's coming. So if you drop it.
Non-binary.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a knife then.
Yeah.
I love it.
Or a spork.
Awesome. Learn something
The
new.
whole mess kiss.
No, this is like the are you a little spoon or a big spoon?
What
It's
if
like I'm
you-
a knife.
That is the only correct
God.
answer to
I feel like,
that
what if you
question.
want someone to drop by, though? You just start.
Oh, yeah, you just
Yeah.
you guys hear clinking in the kitchen. Yeah, it's just like summoning. I love it. Any of them right now.
They all
Jump
show
out
up.
the silverware.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
What is that noise in the kitchen?
Like she's like summoning them.
I think Riza's summoning her lover.
That's a lot of love.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Don't go to the club with her, is all I'll say.
The club. Okay.
Takes notes again. The club.
So circling back around to you. Sorry, guys. No, do not apologize.
That was
This
so
is
good.
this is exactly what I love to
So
say.
good, so good. Yes, no, I think that, like, probably, yeah, of the group, aside from our height, we're, like, the most sort of, like, battle hardened, probably, and just, like, so I think that that would be, like, a point where we would bond, is, you know, the bonds that are created in battle together on the battlefield.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, and one of the unique things about this set, and jumping ahead a little bit, is that part of joining the organization is being able to draw the sword out of your body. So I'll just go ahead and go into it. Cove, when did you draw this sword for this iteration?
This specific sword, I think probably there was an interrupted event. Like we were having a casual like poetry reading. Sure. And gosh.
Yeah, that happens a lot with those.
Okay, I'm gonna keep a tally now. That's 2.
That's I think 3.
3.
I should
Nice.
take a shot every time it happens.
I don't want you to be unconscious by the end of it.
And I think there's a little bit of something that bubbles up in the disruption of that and going into battle without like the fulfillment of like we are experiencing this art right now and duty calls and it feels like normal work and we don't want to get to normal work yet, and so we get there and there's something in that emotion that like I don't know if it's heart or if it's just like diaphragm, but you know, that pulls out this kind of like thin, cracked sword. And a moment of just like, yeah, and then battle.
Yeah, don't look at your sword, look at the handle. Focus up, come on.
Right. This one's a new one.
New? All right. Yeah, so I think after that, because we all have an art medium, I think, vaguely, and mine is poetry. So it might have been that my poetry reading got interrupted, and I say, well,
It's like we're learning so much about you.
yes, you seemed a little upset earlier about, well, your sword was all cracked up, and I don't know if that's normal, but I don't usually do like one-on-one readings, but I mean, I got some stuff I've been working on that's sort of more personal. If you maybe we could workshop some stuff. I mean,
Nothing would make me happier.
great. Yeah, I mean, awesome. Yeah, I think the Filimena seems a little bit more like, you know, shy about it, but like excited, you know. Yeah. Unsure. All right. Yeah.
It's consuming everything. We talked about. All the art. Support the art.
Do it.
Support the arts, pay your artists.
I know it's your thing, but I ship it.
I think that's gonna be a running theme.
That does seem very likely. I mean, one of like the cornerstones of this is relationships built between the PCs. Like, I'll flirt with you guys all day long as the NPCs, and more than happy to, of course. But one of the core things is the relationships between the player characters, which is just love it, absolutely beautiful. All right, moving on to the Nature Witch.
Again?
Yes, sorry,
Little old me.
Oh my god, we're
I'm terribly sorry there, mystery. Who at this table thought they took you on a date when you thought it was just a fun, friendly time?
So I was thinking Riza for this,
Uh-huh.
but I also had a thought because Amber Rose and Amanita are connecting on neurodivergent shit, that even though Amanita is not thinking in that way, I'm not sure how Amber Rose is thinking about it, but that's also an option, so do with that what you will.
It would be kind of funny if we both thought we weren't on dates, and then everybody around us thought it was a date.
That's even better.
Oh my
We're all
god.
watching, like, it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen this time.
Right, they're coming out with like couples discounts, and here's like a dessert.
Oh my god. No, we have disguise.
Yeah, I'm wearing like
my
a trucker
God.
hat.
What do you think we did on our date?
Yeah, what did you do?
I think we went out on like a walk, and we went on a stroll, and you were pointing at fungus, and I was like, yeah. And then everybody else is peering in. They're like, they're taking a romantic stroll through the parks, you know, like the swans are swimming.
Cool.
Did you see their heads got like within 5 feet of each other?
5 feet.
I think
We're getting close.
we might get some physical contact today.
Right. Like, we order ice cream, and like the ice cream truck person like gives us one cone.
Can we get 2?
Oh, yes, of course. Terribly sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, thanks.
She's just shy.
What is this?
It's cold and it's ice cream, I think. I think at some point, like, my ice cream, like, tips over and I have to kneel down and someone's like, they're proposing!
It's so fast! It's,
I mean,
usually lesbians wait till the second date to move in together.
They're U-hauling already!
Like our whispers get like louder and louder every time we inch closer and closer. Like you guys are sitting on the bench and we're like right by the tree. We're like,
do you hear that whispering? Is that the spirits?
ooh. They're like nervous ghost noises.
I'm like looking around at the shadow people that are normally around me. They're like,
Oh, mycelium, I think I can hear them.
Don't look to the right.
Did you hear that?
I have a feeling that we shouldn't look to the right.
Okay. So, do we then look
Trust
to
your instincts.
How come I can hear them?
Can you hear the shadow people too?
I just heard something.
Scoot closer to each other. And perhaps we will answer your questions.
You're hearing that, right?
Yeah.
Cove, say something.
Do we think that's it?
Cove just has like a
Oh,
tree
use your
branch.
past life, Coven. You know everything.
You got it. Just one thing.
Just one thing.
You're just taking, I'm like taking mushrooms out of my pouch, like.
You know what's up?
Yeah.
Now eat it together.
That doesn't sound
Yeah.
right.
Together?
You did it!
I'm so proud of you.
That was good.
Okay, I think this bench might be haunted. You wanna go get some junk?
Yeah, let's go do that. And
Okay.
like, you're like scurrying around the junkyard, and I'm kind of like, oh.
There's all sorts of unseen in the junkyard, some of them attached to broken things.
I like pull out like this half-shattered vase.
What about this one? Does this have any shadows on it?
No.
Throw it away.
It shatters into a million pieces.
A coat hanger. What about this one?
I don't think so. I've never heard of a case of a haunted coat hanger.
That'd be really funny. Or not.
I think it's funny.
Okay. Funny. Okay, that's funny.
That should not be the gauge that you have for normal interaction.
Okay, so you have 0 strings. That's a 0 string, but you have a string
yeah.
on me.
That's incredible. Especially with the 3, like...
Very
I definitely want a mustache, like one of those mustache glasses.
Oh my
You
god.
have like a weird unrequited crush on me right now.
Right.
We support it.
Doesn't she has a lot of spaces in the heart
in the
cavity?
cabinets.
Yes, exactly. She's like, I would like to get with Amber Rose, but she's also like, this is good. This is good. This is good soup.
Yeah. As long as she pays attention to me too when she's done with that.
Right, equality.
Amazing.
This will only make us better.
This will make us stronger.
Have all sorts of bonds between you. All right. Speaking of Riza, our darling Scoundrel, who in this group has almost as much flair as you?
Okay, I was in between this one too.
All right.
So my 2 ideas, one was with Cove, because Cove is kind of like, they're just like cool, you know, like they're so into themselves because they've spent so much time. At least that's what Riza believes. Like she believes on the outside, like, how does she stay, or how do they stay so cool? Like they seem to have an aura around them, and they don't have to play a mask. They don't have to play it up all the time. It almost makes her kind of frustrated in a way that she kind of like envies but looks up to people. It's kind of like that back and forth. And then with oh my god, Amanita, it's the kind of the same vibe of like, how can you be so weird but people like you and that's okay? Like you don't have to cater to them. That kind of thing.
Sure.
So it's that kind of like catering kind of thing where these two seem so, I don't know, free, and then she has to keep putting on a mask, and it's like, how? Just confusion, I guess.
All right.
So I'm not sure. I got stuck.
Well, if you wanna talk through it with folks,
How are you feeling?
It's fascinating because Cove is kind of in this place of extreme uncertainty themselves, right? Where they don't know when that moment to push forward into the next stage is going to be, and so they've kind of shed a lot of that because they are trying to gain as much knowledge and experience as much as possible, as quickly as possible in that time limit. So I think everyone is restricted.
Right.
But it's the external
Like
is
outward.
often yeah.
I mean, I think that's very interesting that you might perceive differently.
yeah.
Right.
The internal life versus the external.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing.
And I think that similarly, there's like, oh my gosh, Riza's so cool, and I'm over here just being a little weirdo, doing weirdo stuff, and I know that I'm weird, and I like have a lot of judgment for myself for that.
Right.
So
You're a weirdo. Have we ever seen you without your hidden pants? Your secret pants?
secret pants.
Secret pants.
Are we only allowed to choose like one for?
It does need to be one.
Okay. Can I have a little think about it and then come back? Is that
Absolutely.
possible?
Oh yeah, no.
you guys.
This is
Say your
at everyone's comfort, and
Say your affirmation.
Say your affirmation.
Would it, I am weird, and that's cool.
Great. Perfect.
Okay.
We'll try again tomorrow.
Okay.
Great.
oh no, my heart.
I don't think I can do this.
That's cool.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Our last question is for the spooky witch. Well, kind of second to last question, because I'd like to touch on on the one in your playbook that we talked about at the safety check-in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna let you stew on that for a little bit there. Kiss, kiss. Spooky Witch, who is your touchstone for what normal is?
Riza. And it's
Right. We talked about this. I was like, wait.
Yeah. So literally, nobody has ever given me the time of day except for the shadow creatures and my brother. And then I look at Riza and I see how bombastic she is, how like the elegance and the poise and the charm. She charms the pants off of anybody she talks to, and I'm like, that is exactly how my brother acts. And now there's this weird crush going on, and she's talking to me like all the time, and I'm like, my brother does that too. You remind me of my brother.
Is that so? In what way?
Well, you're nice to me and you talk to me and everybody seems to like you, so.
Are people not nice to you?
Not generally.
Who's not nice to you? Just out of curiosity, that's all.
Most people think I'm a little bit weird and.
Write that down, most people. I'll look out for that one.
Enemies.
Interesting.
Just give me their address. I just want to talk.
Yeah, I think it's to the point where like sometimes she'll open up to you about things and like just kind of dump. A lot
Like
on you.
info dump, and she's like, okay. But I think in a way, Riza, despite like being also kind of like enamored, is also just there to like leave a comforting hand. She knows the balance of like it's flirting time, and it's also like, oh, it's okay, because she's like an elder sister too.
Right.
Aw.
It's like a weird pining.
It's so weird.
At some point, like, or like hands will touch, and then like I'll walk away, and you're just
I'm like, wow, they were so cold, like ice.
and clammy.
That's hot. That's hot.
That's hot right there.
This is very sapphic, and I love it.
I also love the like, you remind me of my brother. Can you clarify what that means? Is this a familial relationship that we have? Because I need to know.
Are you guys like weird about it?
that whole like, you're like a brother to me.
Yeah, you're like, right. Not what I wanted to hear. But okay.
Yikes forever. Oh, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. All right. Do you have thoughts on who has the flyer?
I think Cove, just because it's like it's nothing she's seen before.
Sure.
They're like very ephemeral and angelic, and they float first of all, which is like 20% cooler that she can't float yet. So she
They're
thinks
tall,
that's really,
but then this.
they're tall and extra floaty. And then I think it's just that demeanor that they carry too. I think it's the knowledge, it's the demeanor, it's the extra skills that she doesn't have, so it kind of feeds into kind of her insecurity of being like inferior, I think, whilst literally and metaphorically like looking up to them.
The paper taped to the table probably didn't help.
Oh yeah. She'll warm up to it maybe eventually. She loves nicknames, but maybe not that one.
Workshopping nickname.
You know, it's teasing friends is fun, but like you need to know when is the teasing, when does it feel deeper, you know? And I think that this is maybe a trigger point for our good friend.
And Riza's like across the corner of the room because she knows when someone's talking about. She's like glaring like.
You know,
They're both stubborn.
You know, I deliberately signed up for this.
There's like moments in the game where just 5 minutes of us staring.
We're always like the backgrounders that are just like, oh, what's in the.
I know, I feel like, oh.
So how do you know when it's too much? Do you know?
Too much what?
Too much teasing is the word?
I don't
You
know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's okay.
All right, witches, there's a thing called emotional intelligence, and not everybody, it comes in different shapes and sizes.
I don't think I
and
have that.
that's all right.
Okay.
You could just talk to people. You could just say, hey, how are you feeling right now?
Hey, how are you feeling right now?
Well, I'm feeling a little bit patronizing, to be honest. but I care about y'all, so that's okay. It's
Because
okay.
you're a good person.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be the big one between us.
We'll talk about it later.
I need to write some poetry real quick.
Was there a question about that?
Oh, God.
Welcome to therapy time.
I'm working through some things.
I mean, when they said that playing TTRPGs with your friends is just running therapy sessions, I didn't think it'd be that literal, but cool, here we go.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is. Okay, so we have answered all of those questions. Has everyone assigned your strings?
Right.
Oh. So for Infamous, it was Riza, Amber Rose, and Cove.
Okay, so Cove, I mean, I think, oh goodness. I want to, yeah, you get a string. I feel like, I feel fully even if I don't express it fully, so.
I know, I'm just going to go ahead and say that because of the depths of connections that y'all are making, there are no zero strings.
Great.
It's
Take one back.
It's 1, 1, and 2. Love it.
Okay, so
And-
yours would be a 1.
Okay. Yeah.
Yours would also be a 1.
All right.
So I think I'm gonna give Riza the normalcy a 2 because that's my.
Oh,
corner
we're giving
strength.
Riz a lot of power.
Can I also note that down on the strings? How do you
So
note that? Sorry.
you mark the
ones
boxes.
you gave.
I think
Or-
they just
They were
keep
tracked.
You don't have to keep track
I've been writing notes.
of what you've given.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
mercy.
keeping track just because that makes it easier.
I
You're
also
the GM.
I got these little mushrooms that are like markers that I think I'm gonna, if you're okay with it.
I was actually going to suggest something like that and bringing something like that in for everyone. If y'all have let's say 5 to 6 of items, because you may pick up strings throughout the game. If you have something like that is small that you can give to each other, cool. If not, let me know in our Discord and we will discuss and I will find stuff.
That's really cute. I'm melting.
I'm super
ready.
here for it.
I need a bag of eyeballs.
Oh my god! Googly eyes!
I was on Joko Cruise, and googly eyes were everywhere because Paul and Storm said not to, so obviously there were. And I still have a ton left in my bag, so I can give them to you.
Oh my god.
All right, we're gonna roll quickly through your playbooks.
Sorry, I have a quick
please.
question. What was Amber Rose gave me a string? Or no, I gave you a string.
You gave me a string.
She also gave you a string.
Oh, how many did you give me?
Sorry, no. Amanita did not give you one, Amber Rose. You gave one to them.
Oh, okay. So
Wait,
what?
okay.
Wasn't there a normalcy and a date?
right, the date. How
Yeah.
many did you give me for that?
I give you 1 for the date.
Okay.
Oh, for you?
And then Riza, you were smitten with me. How many did you give me?
I gave 1.
Okay. And then
So I'm just gonna go down the list.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm just gonna go down the list and say who gave what strings. How's that? Might
Great.
make things a little bit easier.
That's awesome.
Excuse me. So Infamous, who have you wronged the most? It was Riza. Who believes in you more than you believe in yourself was Amber Rose. Who talks to you about things they wouldn't discuss with others because of your past is Cove. Legion, who has the face of a long dead friend, Amanita. Who is the beloved of a nemesis from a previous life is Amber Rose. And who first saw you draw a weapon from your body was Filimena. And if you have questions about how many strings you have on each person. Nature Witch, who sees your potential is Filimena. Who thinks that you are perfect the way that you are is Cove. And who thought they took you on a date when it was just a friendly time is Amber Rose.
So that's 1, 2, and 1.
Scoundrel, who were you smitten with, was Filimena. Who has replaced them is Amber Rose. Who has almost as much flair as you is Cove. And have you assigned numerical values to those?
Oh yeah. 1, 1, 1.
1, 1, 1. No one gets 2? Interesting. So each of you have that noted down?
Yep.
Excellent. Spooky Witch, who thinks you're not all that weird, is Amanita. Who have the unseen warned you about is Cove, and who is your touchstone for what normal is Riza. And
Everyone's a 1 except for Riza.
excellent. All right. Any questions about any of that before we move on? All right, so we're going to go ahead and dive a bit into the playbooks. So the way that Powered by the Apocalypse games works is making a character super easy. You go through the book, you see which one appeals to you, and you choose the playbook. And you go down the list and you answer questions.
And the art is so good.
The art is amazing.
Like, get a hard copy just for the art.
Seriously.
Hold that in your hands.
It's a very good book. I also love the second book, Advanced Lovers and Lesbians. Yeah, thank you. I didn't bring it with me.
Oh, so fun.
It's such a good name. So we'll just go around the table. So we started with Cal last time, so we'll start over here with I. If you will, tell us which playbook you picked, and then just like tell us about the conflict that is like at the center of that character.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I was pulling it up on my phone because I forgot my homework at a party.
You know what? At 21st birthday, I think you're allowed.
So
My hourly reminder.
So I will be playing the Spooky Witch. Do I flash it or?
No, you don't have to.
Okay, cool. I'm playing the Spooky Witch playbook, and so I just read the description, or?
You can read the description, or you can talk about what the conflict is that you, the way that you see the conflict that Amber Rose has, and which tells us a little bit about what you're looking to resolve to an extent.
Okay, so my playbook is the Spooky Witch, and so generally the whole thing is like very occult lesbian, you know, like probably astrology, crystals, all that sort of jazz. Amber Rose's whole shtick is that she has this twin brother named Ambrose, and he was planned, she was not, hence the name. Whole life, he's always been the number one. Everybody loved him, he's charismatic, he's better at magic, just all of these amazing things. And she can see the unseen too, but his power has always been better than hers. He was better than her in every single way. And then they're kind of like this double act sort of tag team thing, but he's always been the face of the show. And then one day he mysteriously disappears and she's left at a loss. She doesn't know how to function without her brother. It's like, okay, well, you've been the PR of my whole life. How do I advocate for myself? You've always been my voice, so if someone takes away my voice, then how am I ever going to be able to speak? And so her whole conflict now is desperately holding on to her brother, and so she's trying to find him again. And she has this idea that one of the unseen that's with her is actually her brother, and maybe he was cursed somehow, or he was transformed into an unseen, and she's desperately trying to reverse that. Whether or not that's actually her brother is left to be said. But that's her whole thing. It's like, am I gonna be falling down the same pit hole that my brother did, or will I break out of it? Yeah.
Excellent. So, running down the stats, where did you assign your stats?
So I have 0 in daring, 0 in grace, -1 in heart,
Interesting.
+1 in wit, and +1 in spirit.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. And I know that you don't have your actual sheet with you, but do you know which playbook moves you've chosen?
I know the commune with the unseen is the one that's just given to
Yeah,
us.
that just comes pre-checked.
Let's see.
So the way that you make characters in Powered by the Apocalypse is you choose the playbook, and then you go through and you make choices. And one of the choices is your playbook moves. So at the top of the sheet there is one that comes pre-checked. It's kind of like the core of all of the iterations of this particular archetype. And then you go through and you choose 2 more of the moves where you can kind of flavor the archetype the way that you want to, based around that.
Right. So one of the things that we discussed was friends in weird places, where I have 3 unseen companions that are kind of constants to me. Like,
Yes.
There's unseen's everywhere, but...
And we have gone into some depth on building that out.
Yes, we have.
And as much as you would like to talk about that, you are welcome to, or not. Let that come out on gameplay.
Well, we just know that one of them is maybe my brother.
There we go.
Yeah. And then I want to say that I would pick the divination one. So basically, when you have time and safety to read the unseen truth of someone present, describe your divination process and what makes it conspicuous. The GM will tell you something interesting about the person or the obstacle they face that you don't know. Then roll spirit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Cool. So this way?
Oh,
They have their own book.
Yeah.
Separate. Well, it's also the second book. I just found my not a horror game reminder.
That was something that we discussed when talking
actually,
about
this
lines
side of
and
the
veils.
table is probably a good area to have that.
Not a horror game.
I mean,
With your eyeballs and shadow creatures.
living
Your
people
eyeballs and your eldritch.
eat dead mushrooms. Dead mushrooms eat living.
Look, anything can be horror if you turn that direction. There
Out of the
are
Abyss campaign.
Oh, okay.
there are easy ways to turn
And
a
horror
romance
can be
comedy.
romance.
It's true. There's a sticker going around that underlines the screwing of Cthulhu. So
That's our sequel.
On that note, Cove is Legion.
The screwing up.
I mean, the sticker puts it much more crassly, shall we say? But I'm trying to save my f-bombs.
Nice.
Oh, if we're like PG-13, we get 1.
We do get one.
I mean, and it's a very loosely held PG-13.
The Legion is basically a soldier chosen by destiny, and it's your like either power or person that is passed through generation to generation. This iteration of the character is someone who has borne the powers and legacy of the past incarnations through one line. The conflict the Legion is presented with is finding out how I've interpreted it. Let me read it how it's written, and then I can explain. Their conflict is figuring out who they are between their present selves and the many thems that came before them. So very much trying to, and I think that goes into the exploration of this time in this place, is who am I? How am I finding that through the art I am experiencing and creating myself, and getting a grasp on that before the ticking time bomb goes off. They're also presented with a tragedy, which repeats throughout each stage, which I will not speak about today.
Yeah, we'll chat.
Yeah. Do you want? I mean, I have it, but not for today.
No.
Stats and things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have 1 daring, 1 grace, -1 heart, 0 wit, and 2 spirit.
Interesting. Excellent.
And then automatically we get Heaven's Sword, which is that the legions have their heads full of the ghosts of their past selves, which affects strings that antagonists might take on you, or things that might negatively impact people around you, depending on if you roll a mixed or downbeat. I'm also taking Been Around a While, because I as a player like this stuff, which is for each point of tragedy I possess, I can ask the GM a question about the current obstacle or situation, which does work both ways, but that's juicy. And then the other one I have, because it's Cove, is Resplendent Weapon, which just lets me roll with my spirit instead of my daring for fighting.
Ooh.
Excellent.
I punch good.
You punch real good.
With spirit.
With spirit.
And vim and vigor. Before we jump over to Pooja with the infamous, I just want to welcome in our raiders. Hello, the lollygaggers. Welcome to
yay.
Session 0.
Good name.
Great.
It's a
We
fantastic
appreciate
name.
that.
Welcome to the Session 0 of Thirsty Sword Lesbians. We're going to be running this during the month of June, and we are delighted to have you here as we expand on the character creation that we have been working on over the last, month and a half or so, that we've been talking about all of this. So glad to have you here. Stick around. We're going to be starting the story proper next week, but you can get some tastes today.
Yeah.
All right, so we will go ahead and roll into the infamous.
The infamous. Yes. Just to flash that art real quick.
That art.
So good.
So good. I love the art that you also have.
Well, yes, as a fellow artist, I can appreciate some good art. There's some good art in this.
You are allowed.
These bodies. Sorry. This is not reflecting on Filimena at all. So, yes, the infamous. Their central conflict is, I'll read it out and then kind of, as you did, get into Filomena's deal. So, arises from the lasting consequences of their past actions and beliefs versus their new convictions. Will they repair the harm they caused? Will they seek forgiveness? Or will they despair? Will they find a new place to belong? I think Tiana's going to get more into this, but in terms of like the world, we're kind of in a dystopian capitalist future. How could you possibly imagine that?
I think it's referred to as steampunk.
Steampunk! I had to explain what steampunk was to my mom, and she was not getting it. So my core concept for Filimena is that they were in a freelance organization that was like private security, but was actually like union busting and squashing the little guy. And I think they like came from poorer circumstances themselves, so she was drawn to this to power and to a more glamorous lifestyle, and then later through artistic awakenings realized and also heavier stuff, realized that this was not the way, and that they were kind of projecting and dealing with self-loathing, and they wanted to be better, and so they found this organization and are working on that. So I think you alluded to this earlier, but Thirsty Sword Lesbians is really good about like kind of structuring things so that it's safe for everybody. So because you're dealing with darker stuff, that one of the like things that you start off with as a infamous is what cannot be undone, where you kind of go into your wicked past with the other players to check in about like, is this too wicked for you to deal with? Is this a boundary? So think lots of physical intimidation, there might have been some violence, but not PG-13 violence. Whatever that means. Which in America, anyway.
I will just point out that PG violence is like Mufasa falling off the cliff. So
there might, who knows? We'll get into it.
Blood, probably. Blood.
There might, a little bit of blood. Maybe a little bit of blood. Yes, so getting that out of the way. For my stats, +2 daring. Big surprise. 0 grace. +1 heart, +1 wit, -1 spirit. Which I kind of interpret as like based off of the fact that she has changed sides. They are malleable by outside forces and aren't super in touch with their own power. Yes, my own interpretation. And then
Interesting.
in terms of moves, I've got some fun ones, but Wicked Past is where I can decide if a villain I meet for the first time, if I know them, and if so, I get to ask them a question, and they get a string on me. Figure out a person move, which you can learn about in a YouTube video that Tiana made. It's a really good video. It's such a good video. Make it right. I can appeal to someone that I've hurt in my past, and they can choose a series of options to to counter that. They can even choose not to engage with me, and they get a string on me, which is cool. And then the 2 I picked was always suspect, so I can pretend to be a villain and win another villain's trust, but that means someone might have seen that interaction and make the wrong assumption about that. That I'm turning back on my word. Juicy, which we love. And then they can change 2, which is I can kind of give up the advantage in a situation because I believe an antagonist has the ability to change for the better.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I love the Infamous. So good.
I mean, part of the reason why I wanted to do this was so I could hear what moves y'all had. Because, ooh, tasty. So tasty. Okay. We'll just file that away for later. Kiss, kiss. Angel.
So I have the Scoundrel. For the Scoundrel is a hero of action and intense physicality. Their sword fights are punctuated by banter and flirtation and end in kisses as often as they end in bloodshed. Their central conflict lies in their urge to explore new horizons versus committing to purpose or security. So for Riza, eldest daughter, family expectations of taking over the business, kind of role what is expected of her, doesn't align with who she truly feels she is. And I think what lies, I guess, for her insecurity kind of stems from the family. And so her reason for being so flirty, so almost like she's having fun with indecency, like not indecency, but kind of just like not as conservative, non-conservative. And so her style is very like showy, like a lot of skin. She's very flirty, like very sexual. And so in a way, like not only is this kind of like a way to rebel against her parents, but it's also kind of her being harsh on herself because she's afraid that if she's herself, other people won't like her the way her family doesn't accept her for who she is. And so that's why she also bounces from person to person, is because she knows she's good at first impressions, like hands down, she can do that. But anything deeper, she's worried they'll get bored or they might find out something and they won't want to be her friend. So if she can just keep hopping from person to person, she never has to go through those deep conversations. She can always make new friends, right? Because she can always, which is, so she's very scared of commitment because she doesn't know what that might entitle, and that may lead to a road of hurt that she doesn't want to experience again.
Love that. So where did you put your stats?
So for my starting stats, I have a +1 in daring, +0 in grace, -1 in heart, +2 in wit, and +1 in spirit. And then do we do the truth of heart and blade, or do we do the playbook moves?
No, I think we've
So
so
just
far
been doing the
doing
move.
playbook.
Okay. Because the truth of heart and blade is what happens with when you get smitten.
Oh, okay. So for playbook moves, the standard one, are lust at first sight. When you become smitten with someone you barely know, declare your undying love and give them a string on you. Lose your smitten status with anyone who has no strings on you. Take +1 forward to any act you think might impress your new interest. And the other one is shiny and new. When you give or receive emotional support in an intimate moment with someone new, you mark experience or clear condition. And so the 2 additional ones that I chose were the main attraction. So when you make a dramatic entrance, I'm all for, again, it kind of plays into that first impression. She knows what she's good at, too scared to try that like new thing of getting deeper. So like main attraction being like, she ever enters a room, do I say like what happens if I roll the +10 or?
Oh, we can go into that when it happens.
Okay, cool. And then I chose 1 in every port. So when you return to any town you've been before, name a person whom you shared intimacy here and tell how you left things. So again, playing the filing cabinet within her core set. Just first name, last name, please.
City of birth.
Do you file by first name or last name?
Right. I definitely think it's by first name because she typically has nicknames from the first name. So like if someone's named Cornelius, that's corny, you know? You're corny, you know, that's...
But sometimes they're nicknames because you don't remember what their names were.
Yeah, so that is true. I think she has them by first names and then there's like a parentheses, like if it's a special nickname like unknown or something, like maybe they got a lot unknown about them and so she names it like a personal like nickname.
Okay. All right. Bouncing over to our Nature Witch.
I chose the Nature Witch playbook, which, you know, it's so cute. I love this art so much. It's so cute.
It's just so good.
Pardon me. And their central conflict revolves around the growth that their explorations will require from them and those who love them. So they're either new to socializing or newly exploring what it feels like to socialize as their true self. And I think it's the latter for Amanita. She's newly exploring what it feels like to socialize as her true self in a context that is outside of this sort of insular community in which she grew up. So she's not familiar with the social requirements. And she's also not familiar with what it means to be in a highly stimulating environment. Something that Ren and I talked about is Amanita has sensory processing sensitivity, which just makes everything really heightened. So you're hyper aware of your environment. And I think for her, you know, she doesn't have a lot in heart, and so her emotional awareness, she's not conscious of it. It's just like, I can tell that your body language is weird and you're upset with me, but I don't understand why. I can tell that there's something wrong in the room, but I don't know what it is. And it's this like, I describe it, because I also have sensory processing sensitivity, as like a bunch of really sensitive hairs all over your body, and when it becomes overwhelming, it kind of gets painful. So they're figuring out how to be aware of their own limitations and socialize and take risks. One of the things of this playbook that I really like is they have trials, and you're supposed to pick 4 trials that you need to accomplish. And the 4 that I chose were experience an altered state with a friend. So then something that we talked about was like Amantia's nomadic kind of community uses like psilocybin and other mushrooms that definitely put you in an altered state, but they use them specifically for spirit journeys, or in the way that they've traditionally been used in a serious manner, but not for recreation, not for fun. So that's why I chose that one. Phala is something that means the world to you, which is, for me personally, like failure is really hard. Kiss someone dangerous. And and win a duel. which I think rolls really well into my stats. I have -1 daring. I have 1 grace, 0 heart, 1 wit, and 2 spirit. And the playbook move that the Nature Witch comes with is Wild Friends. You can speak with animals and plants that may influence them with strings just like other NPCs. Near your home or anywhere you have spent a long period of time, animal and plant friends are always nearby when you want them, which I feel like is why those people destroying the bed of oyster mushrooms made her so angry. I also chose Awaken the Wild. When you're in a safe position and attempt to commune with a place or a non-sentient creature, roll Spirit. 10 or more, you choose 1. You cleanse it of hurt, corruption, or sickness. You alter its behavior, ecosystem, or atmosphere to one that you choose. Or you make it dangerous to a certain person or creature, or a type of person or creature, which I think is really cool. And then the second one I chose is Nature's Touch. When you touch someone and let the power of the natural world flow into them, roll Spirit. 10 or more, you choose 2. They may give you a string on them to clear a condition. They gain the ability to speak with plants and animals for the rest of the scene. They must answer one of the figure out a person questions of your choice, or else they take a condition. So I'm very excited about that.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for sharing all of that. It gives us some, I think, fun things to play with. So before we're getting toward the wrap up of the evening, I think we have done some really good character work and development. I will ask, because this is a point of interest for myself more than anything else. The organization that all of you belong to is Les Violettes Dangereuses, which is, and I'm finally getting it right. It's only taken, I do not speak French. This is difficult.
You could have fooled me.
Oh, sure. You're a very kind lie. But each of you have joined Les Violettes Dangereuses for your own reasons or your own ways of coming into them, and I'm super interested. What drew you to this collection of artists? So we'll go ahead and start on this side again.
Well, first of all, my brother was always the one that was going around, and he's probably flitted around and spoken to many of the prominent members of there, but they kind of like look at him, suss him out, and they're like, yeah, we don't really want this guy.
They have some decent insight in the group.
We don't really want this guy. And so now hapless Amber Rose just roaming around like, I don't know what to do. And then so at some point when you're looking for information, you find a little bit of seedy friends in seedy places, and eventually it leads me to here. I know that some of these people, because my brother's interacted with them, he's probably performed with them, he's probably spoken, probably to you actually. And so I'm coming in here, and for the most part, it was like, oh, I'm just kind of here for information, and then somehow I get roped into everything because everyone's like, that one has potential. I see potential in you. Which is really weird to me, because I remember my brother always expressing to me, like, I want to join, I know there's something more to them, but I'm just not digging into it. And now I'm kind of like, I did it. I did it, bro.
Have you been able to draw your sword?
No, I have not. I am not able to do that yet because I don't have a voice. I can't advocate for myself yet.
All right. As Pooja just dies over there. Cove.
Hi.
Hi.
Cove in Cove's previous full iteration, at the end of it, experienced a different Filimena singing and pulling a sword from Fair Body, and the power of that moment, of that art and that heart and soul, really stuck with them, and they started digging more into it. And when it came time to transition into the next Cove, they weren't quite ready to let go yet, and which is part of what halted their own transformation. So they've been very invested. That's 6 years ago. Very invested in Filimena and Fair Cause and the Violettes.
Love it. All right, Filimena.
Yeah.
I, not the O.
Just to clarify, there are two of us. Totally coincidence. I did not know this ahead of time.
I did, and I didn't tell you because
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
Tiana is devious.
Who, me?
Yeah. Yes. So I think Filimena might have had run-ins with the Violettes, Les Violettes, in their previous occupation, as they were sort of antagonistic. But I think she had this big turning point where she was realizing sort of the error of her ways, and they were finding solace in writing and poetry specifically. And so they were like independently and trying to be incognito, but they are a huge, wide, thick, beautiful woman. So it's hard for them to blend in.
I think the description that you and I threw around was a brick shithouse of a woman.
Yes, absolutely. So she's wearing like a mustache or something. I don't know. It's not great. So they go into these like, underground bookstores. And also she has a reputation for being a part of this other organization. So the people there, so she goes into these underground bookstores and start reading up on like radical left thinking and like exploring, this whole different mindset, and then gets like pulled into an alleyway by the Violets to be like, what are you doing? What's the game? Stop it. And then I think they have just like a very like pointed like, this isn't a game. I really am trying to be better, and please take me under your wing. So I think that was probably like a couple years ago. It was a slow transition, but they eventually got taken into the fold, as it were. Though they might not feel like comfortable in that, but yes, that's a whole other journey.
Indeed.
Yeah. Sword?
Sword.
Yeah, so I've got a prop. So poetry is their art form, and this was kind of something I was alluding to with Amber Rose and our like scene, but I think a lot of their power comes from this like residual immense guilt over the horrible things they've done. So I think that in a moment of, pain and frustration and a loosening of this like tightly guarded self, this like sort of inky blackness, with the fountain pen comes out, and there's like a manifestation of that like basically looks like this broadsword. But it's not necessarily visible to everyone. So like people with sensitivities can see it more. I think the irony is that Filimena can't really see it and like feels it more than sees it. But it is a honkin' big broadsword for a honkin' big lady.
Honkin' big broad.
That's right.
Oh.
Hey.
Love that.
I love a pun. There you go.
Indeed. Before we roll on to our lovely Scoundrel, I do want to welcome our Raiders. Singularity Roleplay. Welcome to our session 0 of Thirsty Sword Lesbians. We're going through how the people have joined the organization that they're part of and how they're each connected to each other, because we are playing Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, and those are always all about relationships, which is one of the reasons why I love Powered by the Apocalypse games. Y'all should check more of them out. Cove, I forgot to ask, what was the instigation for you drawing your
Of my sword?
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier. In our in that Filimena was reading some poetry.
So
Filimena was sharing their poetry, which was interrupted in a moment that, like, I think Cove was really starting to get a grasp on, like, okay, I'm starting to understand Filimena a bit better. And we've been disrupted. And I took that, like, frustration from that disruption. Frustration and, I said it so much better earlier. Go watch it on YouTube. But took that into the battle with them, and that I think care for the art it came out of them in the form of a semi-broken sword.
as long as you can use it, that's what
It functions.
as long it matters. So over to our lovely Scoundrel, Riza. How did you come across Les Violettes Dangereuses, and what drew you to them?
To this day, I don't think Riza knows how to pronounce it correctly. She
good cover for
She
no one else
tries
knowing.
really hard, but like when everyone's away, because she doesn't want to show any weakness. But the reason she joined them is because, so she's a very like skilled like sword fighter. Learned it from who she considers her Lola, her grandmother, and is in a way carrying on her legacy. But also, it's just who. When she fights, it feels like the cliche feels like she's flying.
Yeah.
It's where she's the most free. It's where she can be vulnerable, but also have fun. It's a safe place for her is on when she's fighting with people in a way, in a weird way. And so with the Violettes, she joined because they had seen her like fighting technique. Like she's been island to island, like competing just via sword, but she's never drawn, I guess, the internal sword yet, because there's like a blocker there.
Yeah.
I don't think she really knows who her true self is, because she's been playing this flirty, like, I believe in myself and I'm so confident, when really inside she's like, I really hope people like me, even though I don't even know if this is me, that kind of thing. So yeah, after some pestering, she did shoo them off like maybe a couple times, because she's like, I'm happy here. Like, why do I need to help the world? You guys are on your own. And then she was convinced. She's like, yeah, maybe I should help. And then it was more like, I'll give it a day or two, and then if I like it, I'll stay. If not, it's peace out. And 2 years later, it's like, well, I guess I kind of like it. So
This is the one thing that you've really committed to.
yeah, this is the one thing she's like committed to. Usually, it's kind of like the hobbies that she's committed to are very few and far between, like cooking, swords, singing. Like, that's it. Anything else is kind of, she hops from, like, if she's crocheting, it's probably for a day. If she's doing something else, she's hopping hobby to hobby. And then even with club, she's pretty flighty. She's always fashionably late. So even with the group, she's fashionably late, but she does show up, which is not something she can say for other things.
That's very fair. So when did you draw your sword?
She hasn't yet. She's been using the one her Lola has given her,
But hasn't drawn
in tangent,
her
but
own.
her own, yes, hasn't been able to. And that's another insecurity, like, am I not good enough for this?
Sure.
And it's, again, a challenge. So she is always there for a challenge.
Always there to meet it head on.
Yeah.
Love that. Amanita.
So
Amanita?
Amanita, you got it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Amanita Repensis. Pardon me. So Amanita is a part of a nomadic mushroom gathering community, And she would, so basically they move to where the mushroom flushes are. In the summer, there's not a lot because it's hot and it's dry. There's not a lot anyway because the planet is basically dead. But definitely during the summer, the community would migrate to larger cities and work in junkyards, and they would definitely like sort and organize the trash, but their payment was being able to take whatever they wanted and build whatever they wanted out of it. So they would build like practical things like lamps, mostly functional practical things. Amanita hated doing that and would only build weird sculptures. So during that time in the summer, I said before, like, this community is so insular, definitely afraid of outsiders, definitely afraid of like, there's this carefulness about new species. Like, those people are different from us and we don't have enough information about them in order to interact with them. And we don't really need to because we have everything we need here. So we don't need to explore more. We don't need to add to our big tome of fungi with all of those other weird fungi out there that talk and walk and do weird things. And Amanita is just so curious and was so curious about what was happening outside of her community. And so the summers were her favorite time of year. So she would wander around the city without permission, of course, and happened upon some of these underground bookshops and poetry readings. And, you know, in the quiet, nondescript kind of way, snuck her way in without understanding that that's what she was doing. She was just like, I'm gonna walk inside and that looks interesting, and no one paid attention to her, and just became fascinated by the different art mediums, the poetry, the singing, the painting, and the sculpture. Like, this is something that other people do. It's not just a weird thing that I'm dysfunctional and can't make things out of junk that actually work. You mean like it's an art thing? I can just do it because it looks pretty. Yeah, and just made the decision out of finding a community that felt like home to stay and to disconnect from her family and basically find chosen family.
Brilliant.
I think she's been practicing with a wooden sword with Filimena, and I think there have been like a couple of instances of like feeling that the access to the sword is there, but not quite. Like sometimes the mycelium will grow and then sometimes it won't, and sometimes like junk will fly around and then it'll stop. So there's like something there. It's starting to become accessible to her. I think the more access she has to herself, her emotions, and like consciously making decisions about what she wants, the more access she has to that.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is after 9:30, so we ran longer than I expected, but I am not at all mad. This is lovely. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. But before we wrap things up, I'm going to give y'all a little taste of what is to come. So, welcome to the conglomerate Isles of Apollo, a collection of dozens of large floating cities chained to the remains of a dying mining planet. Each island, each city-state, is ruled by a baron of industry and his family, all living in lush estates fueled by the suffering they cause on the planet below. We set our story in Little Frisia, where the seeds of rebellion first began to bloom. 6 years ago, a literary salon known as Les Violettes Dangereuses earned the ire of Baron Duchamp. Their crime? Writing and distributing seditious poetry and music to the masses, stirring up dark sentiments in the hearts of those oppressed by the glittering wealthy. Baron Duchamp sent his enforcers to the salon to arrest the Violettes and has sentenced them to a life sentence working the metal mines below. But when the enforcers swarmed the salon, Les Violettes Dangereuses fought back, armed with swords conjured from their words and drawn from their chests as they gave voice to the rebellious art within their souls. Led by Filimena Nebula and Frida Galaxy, the artists became guerrilla warriors, leading the fight against the Baron. The movement spread to the dozens of islands in the conglomerate, spread by daring pilots in their swift airships as they dropped pamphlets, and by the luscious jazz singers as they sang songs of rebellion in hidden clubs across the islands. And so we find ourselves 6 years after the rebellion began, with our players, current members of Les Violettes Dangereuses, as a new development unfolds. Baron Duchamp has called for a peace summit to be held in his estate, and Les Violettes Dangereuses have been specially requested as the heart and soul of the rebellion. And to find out how that goes, join us next week as we begin the story of Les Violettes Dangereuses in earnest. So, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for tonight. As far as schedule goes for the rest of the week, we're off for the rest of this week. Redacted Reports is currently on a month-long hiatus while we catch up on things like editing and sleep. You know, the little things. We have our Spelljammer campaign currently running. That is at 6 p.m. Pacific over here and over on YouTube on Monday evenings. Yeah, if you like what you've seen, check us out on YouTube, check us out on our Patreon. We are delighted to have our community around us, and I saw a lot of new names and faces popping through the chat. So join our Discord. Our Discord is a fantastic place to find out what's going on, connect with other artists and creators. There are games that get started in there. It's a great place to hang out. So thank you all again so much for joining us tonight, and until next time, stay juicy.
Stay juicy.
Drink up.